All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Ouran High School Host Club, episode 24. Well, not many episodes left.
Nope.
We had a really good little section of the show with Bossa Nova.
That's right. Confession.
A good boy, yes, confessing, kinda, and Haruhi also rejected him.
Shooting him down.
Yes, yes, in a very respectful and also de-escalating kind of way.
Right.
Like, let's not go there. You're a great friend.
Right. And I'm not saying that as a dismissal. Like, really, if you want to hang out.
Right. Exactly.
Sure, but let's not go there.
But we had also some ponderings from Honey Senpai.
Indeed.
And Takashi.
Yes.
Who might be more aware of the meta of what's going on than most anyone else.
And if Tamaki is showing the same kind of not reservations but difficulties with communicating and understanding his feelings as Hikaru, is there any hope for him? Yeah, and also if there's someone that's hiding their feelings in some ways even more or to the same degree, are we going to have a new character focus on potentially Takashi? No, just kidding. No. I think if anything, it's going to be Kyouya or maybe Kaoru. Maybe Kaoru, but I highly think it's more likely to be Kyouya. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Same. But all that being said, with only I think 3 episodes left, or something I think so, like including this one. Yeah, including this one. Okay. Yeah, I don't want this to end. But it's going to. So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into it. Oh. This. Kotatsu. Is this what the commoners use? Wow. I've always wanted to try out a kotatsu.
そもそもこのホスト部って玉木先輩と京也先輩の2人で立ち上げたんですよね。
Primarily Tamaki.
クールな京也先輩がどうしてこんなホスト部なんて突拍子もない話に
Asking the real questions. Yeah. Oh. No reason.
突拍子もないからさ。
Oh, here we go.
Story?
Here we go.
そして京也
met
は出会っ
him.
た。
Oh.
Boy meets boy.
I like this.
Damn.
Oh my god, this is their house.
そんな理由で山荘にお邪魔することにしたの？
Oh, sister.
お邪魔じゃありませんよ。向こうだって僕に来てほしがってる。
That's true.
純粋なギブアンドテイクです。
ロマンチックじゃないの。星空の下。
Fat chance. Wait, he's doing integrals?
I think so, yeah.
三男という枠を超えずにどこまで実力を発揮できるか。最初から立派な額縁に入れられたキャンバスに完璧な絵を描く。それが僕の仕事だ。
京也さんは頭がいいから。すべてをうまくこなしてしまうんでしょうけど、でもそれで楽しいの。
That's the real question, isn't it?
楽しいとか楽しくないと
Does it
か
matter?
関係ないですよ。
Yeah, of course you'd say that, yeah. And then of course it breaks, yeah.
Yep.
2番目の兄は医学部在学中で、卒業後は MBA を取得し、兄のサポートになった。
Oh, so he isn't being the successor either. It's just that he's kind of falling in line like a dog, if you will, you know,
and doing a really good job of it. Yeah.
Wait, the voice of the dad.
Yeah.
Dang. So Tamaki was a...
And your enemy's closer.
Oh.
お父
Wow.
さん、人を見抜くこと、そして人に見抜かれないことには自信があった。周防玉木。周防の会長が外国で産ませた子。離縁した本妻との間には子供ができる。悩んだ末に会長は彼を引き取った。
Gotcha.
妾の子が一夜にして周防財閥の後継者か。
Jeez. Wow.
That's
周防玉木くんです。どうぞよろしく。とってもまっすぐで綺麗な髪だね。きっと君の心もこの髪のようにまっすぐで美しいの。
wow.
so smooth. And Kyouya's just like, wait, is this because he's,
right,
not local,
right. He was born a commoner.
よければ学院内を案内しようか。
Still not shaking his hand. Oh, there we go, there we
And I
go.
love that the girl behind him is just still swooning.
ところで大鳥くん、君の家にこたつはあるか？
Oh,
いいよな、こたつ。
oh, he's fascinated by them because they're a first time for him,
絶対入るって決めてたんだ。でもうちには洋間しかなくって。
ああ、あれか。外国人によくある日本文化憧れ。残念だけど。
Filthy weeb. Yeah.
なんだ。地雷を踏んだか。
Kyouya's so confused. He's like, what is this chaotic
Will I
energy?
ever get to sit under one?
君の家は家族仲がうまくいって。
Oh my god.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Whoa.
いいんだ。
Whoa.
But I mean, he's right.
He's
but...
right, yes.
日本ではこたつの中で足をぶつけ合って軽い喧嘩をしながら仮装大賞を見て家族の信頼関係を構築するのだろ。
Oh my god.
みかんも欠かしてはならないのだったな。
Naturally.
Of course, yes.
でもそっか、君んちにはないのか。
Yeah, he would be irritated.
Somewhat,
よければうちの和室にこたつを用意しようか。
Oh.
ありがとう、大鳥くん。君は親友だ、大親友だ。そうだ、親しみを込めてこれからはファーストネームで呼ばせてもらっていいかな。ブラボー。
Bravo! What a me!
Wow.
I love it so much.
ってだから冬美姉さん、人のクローゼットを引っかき回さないでください。
What is the point of that?
I don't know, but maybe we'll figure it out at the end of the episode.
今日はすっかり向こうのペースに引き込まれっぱなしだったな。ま、奴がバカであることはよくわかった。
京也さん詰め込みすぎよ。一度出したらもう収まらないじゃない。
だから出さないでください。
Maybe it's a joke because they had the voice actress moan and stuff like that as she's like, oh my god.
京都に行きたいのだ。奈良の大仏と五稜郭とシーサーと生ハゲを。
He just has TV.
Yeah, I love it. And it's taped up from when he dropped
And
it
none of
before.
those are in Kyoto. Same image.
思った以上のバカだな。
Yes, massive.
わかった。
Massive.
じゃあ順に回ろうか。まず今週末は京都に行って次の連休に沖縄に行こう。
Oh!
ありがとう、京也。君は神様だ。大仏様だ。
He's getting upgraded constantly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, how can he say no?
Uh-huh.
出会って2日目にして
Wow.
神様にし
Right, right, exactly.
でも案内役なら運転手に頼めば。
それじゃダメなんですよ。あの周防玉木というやつは。
Just crushes the
京
whole
都へ行っ
pen.
たらまだ春だというのに大文字の送り火が見たいだろ。
そうだよな。京也に行っても無駄
Oh
だよ。
no, oh my god.
すまない。君の能力を
What?
大評価しすぎ
What?
ていた。
Oh
How
my
emotionally
god.
manipulative can you?
しかしこれで次の準備は万全です。
You underestimate nothing!
あらゆる気まぐれに応えてみせますよ。
Yes, Kyouya.
Wow.
北海道？遊びたい盛りなのはわか
Oh
るが、
no.
試験に備えて勉強すべき時期だろ。試験が終わったら遊んでやるから。
There's murder in those eyes.
勉強しろよ。
あらあら京也
Oh
さん。
my god.
一体何事ですね。
あの野郎。
Ah!
これほどまでに誰かを殴りたいと思ったことはあるか。いいな。断じていいなだ。
Whoa, whoa,
落ち着け。
Oh
後
shit.
継者。
whoa,
感情的になってどうする。
whoa.
父から試されている
That was
わ
wow.
俺の
I
対
love
応
that.
能力なのだ。
Snare
もし
drum.
嫌な相手なら無理して付き合うことないって言ってあげるつもりだったけど、こんなに楽しそうな京也さん初めて見たわ。
The clothes now staying on the line. Yeah, yeah.
お友達が見えてるわ
Yep,
よ。
yep. I knew it. I knew it.
Yep. He's playing the piano.
Beautifully.
素敵ね。 なんだか泣けてきちゃう。
正直奴のピアノを初めて聞いたその時、俺は驚いたものだ。兄が涙ぐんでたからじゃない。不覚にも俺自身なぜか泣けてきた。
悪いな、突然来てしまって。
そう思うなら帰れ。試験勉強は
I
ど
love
うした？
how his playing is continuing during their conversation.
It's enraptured his mind, yeah.
Yeah.
それで大鳥家は将来京也が継ぐのか？
喧嘩売ってんのかこいつ。継ぐはずないだろ。見たろ、兄が2人いるのを。僕は兄の下で働くことになるんだ。
あれ、それは意外。君はもっと貪欲な人間かと思ってた。現状に全然満足してないって目だろ。
Oh my god, he reads him too
Wow.
well.
Yeah, so much for not being able to be read by other people.
君のように当たり前な顔で家を継ぐ人間にはわからないのかな。しまった。
Oops.
俺は周防を継ぐとは決まってないぞ。俺はおばあ様に嫌われてる。だから今のままなら全然後継ぎとかじゃないんだって。けど考えてもみろ、父の仕事に興味がないわけじゃないが、この美貌だぞ。周りが放っておかないだろう。あるいはこの優秀な頭脳なら天才科学者になるかもしれないし、何より北の大地に動物王国とかも作ってみたいし。
ふざけるな。
Oh, the music stops.
Yeah.
なぜそんな簡単に諦めたようなことが言える？お前は俺とは違う。
You have
努力すればい
everything.
くらでも上に行けるチャンスを手にしてるだろう。だったらなぜもっと努力をしない？なぜその恵まれた立場を利用しない？お前は一体何なんだ？
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right.
Oh, this is good.
This is so good.
だけど三男という
The
だけ
sound.
で超えることが許されない枠がある悔しさを
Oh.
俺はいつだって。
Oh.
Oh boy.
なんだ、努力してないのはお前の方だろ。
Yeah.
兄貴たちを超えたきゃ超えればいい。
Yeah, don't push this on me.
何もしてないのに諦めてるのは
Yeah.
お前の方だ。
Saw through him right again.
Shot
Easily.
through the heart. Ooh.
ところで京也、こたつはどこかな？
She says that casually, and then it's
そ
like,
ろそろ
oh
用意し
yeah,
てくれたんじゃ
Kotatsu.
ないかって思って遊びに来たんだが。
Of course.
調子に乗るな。こたつは冬と決まってる。入りたければ冬まで待て。
Stay friends with
こ
me
の大バカ野郎
for
が。
a long, long time. Nice. Get that color outside the frame.
Oh.
Ah.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Oh.
Holy
Oh
shit.
my god. Oh. Yes. Yes.
Wow.
京也、すごいことを思いついたぞ。部を立ち上げよ
I thought he was gonna say, let's go to Hokkaido.
う。すぐに活動開始だ。我々の美貌を生かした。その名もホスト部。
Ah.
聞けば聞くほどそれらはくだらない計画だったけれど、こいつの世界を共有したら何かこれまでとは違う風景が
Don't
俺にも
don't
見
do
え
this
て
to
くるよ
me.
うな気がした。
Good luck.
Nice. Cool.
Ah.
All right. That was a really good episode.
Okay. God damn.
All right, guys. This is an S tier Ouran High School Host Club episode.
This was incredible.
This is maybe one of the best character
Yeah,
episodes
like-
in the show.
Because
Like, there's maybe two other ones that come close, but like,
Right,
this is up there.
usually the character focus episodes in Ouran will still have a good deal of comedy.
Yes.
I don't have a problem with that. I
Yeah.
don't have a
and this
problem with
one-
that at all.
And this one
comedy's
this
really
one
good.
had some.
This one
for
had
sure.
some.
Tamaki is very hilarious. Like,
Right, and
yeah.
it was great to see Kyouya's responses to all of the stuff that was happening.
But if you
Really
looked
good
at,
sort of straight man comedy.
right, but if you looked at it through another lens, it's actually almost sad.
Oh,
in
it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking.
Exactly.
Like
yeah.
the I can't remember what it was, but there was a part where when I think it was when Kyouya started laughing, and then it's just he's starting to realize, you know, oh, if I could be brought into this boy's world,
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, exactly.
I would go places I never thought I could. Yeah.
Right. You can escape the frame, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
right. It was as if Tamaki basically, by being in proximity to him after all this time, broke the hold in some ways that his father had on him.
Right.
So utterly that that the point in which he almost I want to get into some of the nuance of Kyouya, but there's the simple aspect of the painting and the chaos of his room.
Yep.
Having this nice little parallel in which, as he gets more and more just connected, and in some ways I would just say, just straight up, just like in some ways, the more and more he loves Tamaki, the more and more he just becomes closer to him, that chaos spreads to the rest of his life. And yet, from an outsider's perspective, like his sister, she describes this as him having so much fun.
Right, because
like,
this is... I feel like I don't know where to start with this because...
Okay, let's go a bit linearly then.
Sure.
Yeah, the kotatsu. That's a good place to start.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But before getting into that, there's Kyouya as a person.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Sure.
The
who we know as him before this episode.
Right, exactly. Yeah. We've seen more of the fully formed version of Kyouya.
Yeah.
Right? Where he has found that balance, right? He's
Mama Kyouya.
Right, exactly. He's become okay with painting outside the frame.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Allowing his chaotic plans to run amok in the host club.
Exactly. And we've kind of seen the hints of where that's come from.
Yes.
But in this episode, we really get to see just behind the curtain and to what extent that went.
Yes.
And
it went back.
Oh man, those roots went deep.
They went so deep.
It took someone like Tamaki, and it took Tamaki a long time to pull up those roots. Mm-hmm. And
Tamaki had no idea.
He had no idea he was doing it. Right, no. Exactly, because he's the oblivious, puppy, Baka, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's part of his charm, right?
Right.
And I love that it was also framed in the way of Tamaki basically having everything that Kyouya wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Sure.
Oh, you're an only child. Oh, you just get brought into this. You can just inherit like your family's organization and things like that. No problem. You are free, both in your position and in how you act. Right? And I want to be you
because it was framed that way. He was set up to be able to transform, for Kyouya to be able to let his wings out and be free.
Yeah.
Because Tamaki had the things that his father kind of made him want to be, like, in proximity to him. So, but Tamaki being someone that Kyouya would have loved to be in the positional side of things, then puts him into that position, if you will, where then when he meets the real Tamaki, he realizes, oh, I actually want to be also who he is internally as well, not just his position.
Yep.
And I can't necessarily, but I can get swept up in his wake, and I will change.
And it's a great way for me to realize, even if it's painful to realize.
Yeah.
The thoughts that I don't let myself have.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
The hopes and the dreams and the frustrations that I don't allow to actually fully flourish and be processed.
Yep.
But with this kid, because he's someone else and because he's so violently alive, he can't help it. Right? He can't help it. It's something that it's almost compulsive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yet it becomes pretty obvious, especially to Tamaki.
Yes.
That this isn't really directed at me.
No. I love how much this episode was a look at how a person, or in some ways a not a corpse, but like something that has been blank and sterile, can get infused with chaotic life, basically.
Yep.
So from the example in the beginning, we get this kind of cool and cold, calculating perspective that Kyouya is just the one that is just like, well, also just at the host club as well.
Oh,
but
sure.
Yes,
yeah.
he is a vessel of his father's will, and he sees everything in a measured, calculating way to note whether or not there is value in that person based on what they could present to the Otori family.
Right.
Now, while this is something that he doesn't necessarily like abandon entirely as a skill in the host club,
Not
the
at
thing
all.
that we note that is different is that when he looks at this in the beginning of the episode, it's colorless. It's gray. There's nothing to it, really.
Yep.
It's entirely just dead inside. It's almost as if it's not even his kind of perspective.
Which is hilarious if you think about the fact that one of the things that's always stood out to me is the fact that Ouran Academy, when we see the clock tower, it's pink. It's pink. This school is a bit extreme, right? It's extravagant in ways that are absolutely ridiculous.
Right.
And yet, while in that place that is so full of color, monotone.
Oh yeah, because you wouldn't necessarily see that if you're not looking.
No.
So Kyouya is basically the cold and cool kind of guy.
Yep.
It's absolutely his shtick, his trope. And as we've gotten to know him, we realize that he actually boils pretty hot underneath. Now,
Definitely.
when we find out like what causes that, it's usually the chaos of others coming into his environment and breaking up stuff.
Right.
That has never changed because he is in some ways always fighting with his OCD, if you will,
Right.
for having things in a nice and neat and orderly state.
He has learned to paint outside the frame by now, but it's still something where all those years of being constantly under pressure makes him a bit high-strung, shall we say.
Yeah, and he definitely sees that there is value in having things generally in order if you're going to run an organization, which is hilarious that he kind of does run the host club, and Tamaki is just the one that brings the plans to Kyouya. It's like, I want to do this.
Right.
Absolutely,
Yes,
honey.
no.
Yes. Sorry, not honey, daddy. I mean, sorry, Tamaki.
Right. Yeah. Spot.
So,
you know.
Exactly. So, Haruhi can tell, okay, but what's the story here?
Yeah.
And we spent the entire episode telling the story. We did not catch back up with Haruhi and Kyouya at the end to see how that whole thing was going there. So Kyouya might not have shared any of this.
Nope.
This might just have been his thoughts about this.
Yeah. And
Which I'll just say, if this is what they're doing episode structure-wise, that means Tamaki's next.
yeah, because there was a lot of things that they got into this episode that's like also giving info about Tamaki.
Yes, very good side, like, hey, just
like parallel
by
stuff.
the way,
After all, they are a couple. You know, it's mom and dad. So
absolutely.
if you find out about one, you find out some stuff about the other. It's how the cookie crumbles.
Okay. Oh my god. But I love this episode so much for giving the focus on Kyouya in a way that goes so far back that it potentially threatens to be not relevant to what's going on in the episode proper. And yet they used the kotatsu as a really simple way to just draw a connective bit of tissue here.
You don't have a kotatsu? Oh, your family situation must not be very good. What?
Because stereotypically, right, the kotatsu embodies these things about the Japanese culture. I'm a filthy weeb and otaku, and I have, like, you know, no interest or love in anime or manga, but I love everything about the Japanese culture. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
And
gotcha.
now, granted, like, okay, kotatsus are one of those things where it's just like, oh man, that needs to be brought over to the West. Like, because that just sounds so awesome. A heated blanket table, you know, like.
It's dangerous, though. It's no, really. That's
sure, but you know.
That's probably the main reason why we don't have something like that already, because we're such just a relaxed and lazy kind of just culture in general. You think we wouldn't have brought it over by now?
No, exactly. It's perfect for America, right?
No, exactly.
Maybe too dangerous.
That's the thing. It's a fire hazard.
Right. Oh no. I was saying too dangerous from the standpoint that Americans are lazy enough. If you add a kotatsu to the mix, it will just disappear. It'll disappear entirely.
But that being said, the idea of framing this around Tamaki is the one that is out of the norm with regards to the environment.
Stranger in a strange land.
Right. So he comes in having to be given that kind of explanation and structure to all these things that he's seeing and experiencing for the most part the first time.
Yeah.
But Kyouya is told to partner up with him because, oh, no, he could be a really powerful ally for our family in the future if he inherits this whole
Right, because right now,
dynasty.
his family are rivals.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
So, on the one hand, the fact that the dad said that, it's like, okay, yeah, totally makes sense. And Kyoya's initial approach to everything totally makes sense.
Yes.
But get the feeling it's not a utilitarian relationship by this point.
No.
Except for maybe the way that Tamaki sort of just drags Kyouya along to do things. But so then on top of that, the fact that we have now Kyouya deciding to paint outside the frame.
Yes.
Right? If he's actually looking to become the head of the Otori family, he'll need some tactics. He'll need some playbooks and stuff.
Right, but if you think about it, he kind of realized, wait, Tamaki is all three in one. He's the friend I never had. He's the one that will sweep me up in a world that I'll never like have experienced before. And he's also a very powerful young man that if he plays his cards right and I push him to take this seriously, I will rise with him and could potentially get my spot in the Otori family. But I will have to big brain the shit out of this and actually somewhat manipulate Tamaki to want to have the heir to the estate there.
But straight up, if Kyouya just like told him what the situation was, Tamaki would be like, that sounds awesome. Like, he would totally be down for it.
Jacob,
if anything,
but he would also fuck it up in some way. Like, that's Tamaki's like great skill.
Maybe the best case scenario for Kyouya is that Tamaki's attention span wouldn't be enough for it. And then Kyouya could just, he'd know that that's something that's happening, and then he'd just sort of let Kyouya handle it.
I don't think Kyouya needs him to know in order to be helpful. One of the things that you can tell that
wanted to have like open communication.
I'm with you. But one of the things that you've probably noticed along with me by now is that Tamaki is very easy to control.
No.
For Kyouya at this point.
Oh, say it isn't so, Joe.
I just want to go for the Bigu Brainu Kyouya Gendo Akari.
Well, it's my big fat Greek wedding line or whatever of the man may be the head, but the woman is the neck and can turn the head any way she wants. And if Kyouya's the mom, you absolutely know
Kyouya inhabits the dad and the mom energy. He is all in one.
He can pilot Tamaki just fine.
For the most part.
Sometimes
every once in a while he has to give him a katatsu day for,
Well, right. It's the thing of the Tamaki isn't a machine, So Kyouya needs to. It's like a pet, You have to make sure that the relationship is strong and respect their own desires and all that.
Yeah, and yet the multiple times that Tamaki's wild, chaotic energy just broke and just shattered everything of Kyouya's world. And then the multiple points in addition to that where Kyouya realized the depth of feeling and emotion to this guy in that he's not just a baka. There's heart to this guy.
The part when he's playing the piano and all of a sudden, like, he's like, oh, my brothers are crying. That's info. That's useful. And then all of a sudden, oh, wait,
I'm weeping.
Oh.
Stop. Why?
What is this?
Like, what I love about this so much is that there are people that are like Tamaki that annoy the hell out of me.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, let me break down what I'm talking about, though. As I'm not just talking about the chaotic energy.
Gotcha.
I'm talking about the proficiency and gifting and ability and position that they didn't earn, that they didn't seem to work for. It is so aggravating to see someone with all that.
And it's just that anything you can do, I can do better.
Right. Yeah. But then they're also an idiot with how they use it. So I understand what you're talking about, Kyouya. But the third thing that I very much can get annoyed by.
Yeah.
And it's a failing of mine entirely. This is where I very much understand what you're going through, Kyouya. But people like Tamaki are important for this world to have. When their emotional intelligence / intuition is so good, so casually, like, God level, that they just unravel you with 3 words or 5 words. And they understand almost everything about you at a point where you're like, that's not fair.
Right.
You're not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
That I am
that's
fine
like
with.
a breach of trust almost.
Right. But it's not. Because they're not doing it maliciously. They're
Nope.
not doing it even intentionally. No. They're just like, oh.
It's a freebie.
Yeah. One of the things that I love so much about this is because we knew so much about Tamaki before this episode, we don't feel the slightest bit threatened for
Yes.
or defend or protective of Kyouya because of him doing this.
Right.
We, if anything, just go, oh shit, she's right. Right. And it's almost a little bit of a comedy bit because we're surprised by how good Tamaki is at doing it.
Right.
But if we just make a little bit of a logical leap here, just a little bit of one, Tamaki has remained close to Kyouya and Kyouya has remained close to Tamaki after all this time.
Yep.
That means that all these things that Kyouya was annoyed by with Tamaki, he at least puts up with.
Yes.
But the ones that are, like, incredibly powerful, like the ability to see through and understand him, those are probably the things that he cherishes.
Oh, absolutely.
And I just...
Absolutely.
I love it so much. Just
There's... So one of the things that I really loved with how it was presented this episode, and we mentioned it before, but the whole thing of the painting.
Yeah, the painting.
And the painting outside the frame. Because when it's initially set up as like, this is how Kyouya expresses the, how he thinks about the issue, right?
For sure.
I have to do this perfect painting in an already gorgeous frame. It's like, oh yeah, fuck man, like that really,
And
boy.
the frame is almost so grand and so over the top.
That no painting could be deserving of it.
Right.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
But then, when we get that part where suddenly the big splotch of red comes in, right?
Yeah.
And we see the painting, and then we see that, oh, there's all the color just going out of the frame.
Yeah.
That is chaos, right? There was no form to the paint that went out of the frame.
Nope.
Right?
Yeah.
But it took on form.
Yeah.
And this is something that I think for Kyouya's character is really important. He has... he is in a bad situation when it comes to his emotional state, his sense of agency as a person, and all of that. There is a lot of his situation where he also is incredibly gifted, though. Incredibly blessed, incredibly lucky.
Yeah.
Right? In a similar way to Tamaki. And I think that's why Tamaki's whole thing bothered him so much, is not just because Tamaki wasn't using it when this is what I would have wanted, but it's the fact that I know I'm also blessed in a similar way, right? Yeah. It's because there's the
projecting,
right. There's the obvious thing of the I've given up, I'm not trying, but it's the I am really set up to try. I'm set up to do something amazing, right? In a way that is potentially far beyond anything that my stubborn old man basically could have thought or dreamt up for me, right?
Seriously.
In the chaos, there is structure. When Kyouya's room is all messy, right? There's still all the clothes that are like on hangers and like pressed and on like the clotheslines and stuff.
Hung out over like sofa parts,
right.
Things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that is growing up, right? It's rejecting a previous established order, which I feel like the sister might have been trying to help with by constantly like messing things up or whatever. But then also accepting that bit of chaos so that then you can bring new order, right? And that's something where Kyouya this is the ultimate showing that he basically has beaten his father in my mind.
Yeah, sure.
Is that he is still able to take what good things he can get from his dad.
Yeah.
That incredible sense of structure and order, that can be helpful. That painting that we ended up seeing of the beautiful flower with the sky behind it and everything, that was not chaotic.
Oh, it totally was.
Well, no. It started from chaos of going outside the frame.
Oh yeah.
But there was practiced attention to detail and things in that.
There was skill, effort, and scope and and intent put into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. And that is something where
things don't have to be not chaotic in order to be orderly. That was the whole point you made with the clothes.
Well,
you could look at the clothes, and someone else could look at it and go,
sure,
this is chaos. And someone else could go, no. There's a very specific order to this.
Right.
It's the whole person who puts their stuff shoved into their closet, but knows exactly where everything is.
Right, but the thing that I'm trying to get at is that it still would have been a good ending for Kyouya in my mind if he had wholly embraced chaos as a way to just get away from his father, so that way he could figure out who he is as a person. But Kyouya, you really are good at what you're doing. You have a gift, and that is to bring that order. So even when he does the chaotic thing, the rebelling, the going outside the frame of the painting, he's able to hold the two in tandem, and that is, I think that you really do have a shot with this Otori group if that's what you want to do.
Right. The part that kind of reemphasizes what you're talking about a lot is the idea that when he paints, he's actually doing it all wrong from the standpoint of anyone that's actually painted. Every person that's painted knows you don't paint with the frame already on the painting, already on the canvas.
You're right, of course not. Yeah.
But think about that. Think about that. The fact that every time they're showing it, not just for the standpoint of it being the visual representation of the frame is something that we're wanting to show at the same time as him painting. It's the fact that the paint can't get on the frame.
Right. Yeah.
Because the frame is not meant to be painted on.
Right. And if you can paint within a frame, then imagine what you can do without one.
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah, exactly.
That's
yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. There's so many things you could get into it about, like, when you paint, usually you actually don't paint all in one sitting. You usually paint individual layers that will then dry a little bit before you then go and paint over those, re-wet them maybe a little bit, but then get them to the point where they're then able to be used as a
right. It's a process.
Right. But a thing that will be just left there and won't be changed. But while you're doing that, naturally, gravity, you will get paint on the bottom part of the frame. That is just guaranteed.
Yeah.
So there's so much about his situation with regards to this that he's intentionally, or not intentionally, but he is physically stuck in this spit there where he has to do it in this specific way, or where he believes he has to do it in this specific way, but he just flat out doesn't. This is his room. He can set up his clothes however he wants. This is his life. He can choose to have whoever his friends are that he wants. This is his club, if you will.
Right.
We can just have a Katatsu day, even if it's not winter.
Because why not? Yeah.
And
I love it.
I feel like him being in this situation where, like the part where he's like, if there was ever a point where I could just punch someone in the face, and then he flashes his father, and there's like two really cool ways you could take this. One is that his father's saying, like, no, this is a potential ally. Don't you dare do anything to hurt this relationship potentially. But then there's the other side of it, which is the only other person that you wanted to punch in the face so much was your father. And boy. And Daddy Tamaki is very powerful. But
yeah,
I just thought that was a funny joke I had to bring up at some point. Tamaki calling himself Daddy to Haruhi.
Okay.
He literally replaced, in some ways, Kyouya's dad.
Painted over him almost.
Painted over him, if you will, with his chaotic, just loving energy. And Kyouya is now serving his vision.
Sure.
Regardless of where it goes, just because he knows that it will take him beyond the frame that his father limited him to.
And that's one of the other things that's really cool. So, running the host club.
Yes.
It's great.
Yeah.
Probably not going to help you with the Otori group.
Well,
it could through
not
like connections
directly.
and stuff and whatnot.
Not directly, but if you think about it from the I'm a big brain anime protagonist.
Yeah.
Like assume for a second that Kyouya has like really genius intellect.
He's got like that notebook with like 500 names of all the VIPs from school and like all the information
all their
about them.
likes, dislikes, tastes, everything.
Yep.
Now, if you think about
cookies
this from
are
Kyoya's
definitely enabled
perspective,
at this host club.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes. Kyouya has more info, probably indirectly, on all these competing businesses than he would ever be able to get at it through the usual way his father probably wanted him to do this. Now, he's not probably chained up to the point where he has to feel like he has to go and then present this as an offering to his father.
No.
But that
father
notebook,
wouldn't even know how to properly use it.
No, probably not. But he probably could use it somewhat.
Yeah.
It's just the idea that Kyouya has been with this notebook.
Yeah.
It's his shtick now of just, I write things in my notebook.
Yeah.
If he...
I can just imagine how crazy it would be, or it has been, must be, will be for Kyouya with regards to business negotiations when it's like, yes, I know your sister, your daughter, whatever, right? And they've talked a lot about you or the whole family situation or whatever. And especially if I'm actually directly negotiating with them, then, I can, because, it's the whole thing of in business, it's not what you know, it's who you know, right? Because, at some point, everyone all kind of knows the same stuff, And then the thing that
everyone
differentiates...
has access to people who have access to the internet.
Right, exactly. And then the thing that differentiates is, who are you connected to?
Who are you talking to with this info?
Right. And Kyouya, he's connected to potentially everyone. Everybody. And if... And and we probably won't get this given how late it is in the show, but if there was ever a point where Kyouya was like wanting to make his move for being the head of the Otori family, right? Or group, and his dad and older brothers are all like talking snidely and disdainfully about, you're doing that host club thing. That's so pointless. So pointless.
And then the Death Note theme.
I'll take this potato chip and eat it. Right. And then it's just, and then all of a sudden Kyouya starts making these like negotiations and deals and things like that and starts talking to people. And they're just like, how? Bosaka. But anywho.
But all that being said, having this episode combine Tamaki and Kyouya backstory in this wonderful fashion makes me just so much more attached to Kyouya. But also, I would say, handles the idea that Kyouya has probably one of the most complex relationship dynamics with Tamaki and Haruhi.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And this is where
Kyouya is the most serious character other than Haruhi at the host club, I feel like.
Well, Takashi is an enigma.
It's hard to tell with Takashi.
Yeah, you kind of have to either include him in everything as the auto win.
Yeah,
or
yes and no. It's
right. So just run with me on this. Kyouya loves Tamaki.
Right.
In a way that I don't think we'll ever really get this show to go fully into.
Right.
And it feels kind of sad that that's the case, but I'm understanding that that's probably just going to be the way it is.
Right.
The second aspect of this is that he loves the host club.
Yeah.
More than probably anyone else other than Tamaki because of how much Tamaki loves it.
Right.
This is the third part thing that things get crazy here. This whole story started because Haruhi kind of crashed into the world of the host club and shook up all the dynamics.
Right.
All of them.
Yeah.
Kyouya, of course, sits back and is like, I'm not going to be shaken up by this.
No problem.
This is all something I can work
Take one
with.
look at her and I'm like, yep, she's a girl.
Yep,
all right.
Yep.
Okay.
This is no problem here. But Tamaki falls in love with her.
Right.
Okay. From there on, this is where things get a bit speculative and a bit complicated. But I think that Kyouya looked at the situation and realized, oh my god, wait, it's happening again. In a weird way, Tamaki might have limited himself, have boxed himself into this frame of the host club, and then this person comes in, and he's doing in some ways kind of the thing that what I did. He's going even outside his frame. He's being less selfish. He's changing. He's taking on this like extra dimension to him that, you know, his ridiculous narcissistic self didn't have before. And I don't think she's even fully aware of like how much she's affecting him.
Right, because she didn't know him beforehand.
Right, exactly. But Kyouya knows him.
Right.
And then starts to see not only that she's a bit blasé because, you know, Tamaki is a baka. So
yes,
that's
Haruhi is super chill.
Super chill.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that Kyouya has such little relationship with Haruhi, really, I think is telling of the idea that Kyouya is quite jealous.
Oh.
Like
yes.
Like
absolutely.
Like quite jealous.
Yeah. And
like
regardless of
regardless of romantic feelings or
regardless of romantic feelings for Haruhi or Tamaki, one, he loves Tamaki. The only thing that's potentially up in the air for the show to confirm or decide what it wants to do is what kind of love.
Of
right?
course. Yeah.
With Haruhi, well, Tamaki suddenly has a new person that is stealing his attention, right? So regardless of what kind of feelings that Kyouya has for Tamaki's attention is being taken away from him.
Yeah, and,
right?
and I don't think that Kyouya is so like unstable.
Oh no, yeah,
that he's jealous for that angle of things.
Right. It's the thing of he's got a good handle on things.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think there's a possibility that because of this idea that in some ways Haruhi is kind of getting this a bit effortlessly. I feel like this is a repeat in some ways of where Kyouya would go to Haruhi and be like, do you realize what you have?
Sure.
Do you realize what you mean to him?
Do you realize how you make them worry when you don't properly think about your own safety?
Yeah. So it contextualizes a bit that really awkward scene.
Yep.
But the idea that if Kyouya very much loves Tamaki, but he also by extension loves the world that Tamaki is bringing into his life.
Yes.
Haruhi is a part of that world.
Indeed.
So in some way, he probably is also just having to accept that if things keep going in this manner, and we don't get the Hikaru plot twist, you know, he's going to, well, in some ways be probably their biggest fan.
Sure. And there's also a part of him that very well could love Haruhi because, if nothing else, platonically, just because as a result of
she's
doing
so
Tamaki.
much unintentionally to change Tamaki into a person
exactly
that is
right,
so much more mature.
Yeah, he cares so much about Tamaki that if Tamaki cares about something or someone, he will also end up caring about that thing or person, even if it's just to a lesser extent.
Right.
Which it almost guarantees has to be because Tamaki is so emotionally available. Yeah,
but this was so good for Tamaki. We get some cool little side things about like how he's not necessarily going to be
taking
the
over
heir to the So family.
Yeah,
because his grandmother really doesn't like him.
And then also the confirmation that he is basically the illegitimate love child from another country, right?
Yeah,
and the wife of his father. Well, they're now divorced, so that's
he was doubly without a mother.
Right, and hence why when the twins made the stab at his mom back in their backstory episode, that's why it cut so deep.
Yeah. And why we know that, well, Haruhi's situation is one that he probably recognizes.
Yeah. Also,
lot.
One thing that really stood out to me is the fact that when he was saying, like, I wonder if this place is bigger than the home back in France or whatever.
Yeah.
And Kyouya's like, really? Like, come on, dude.
What a snide remark.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then Tamaki mentions, I mean, I never actually got to go into that house, so I don't know. I was just kept in the secondary house, the smaller one.
So now that place where he's up and all the servants are basically guiding him to just go to school, that's an environment that's empty. There's no one there really but him.
Right.
I mean, the servants are there as well, but they probably don't like even live in the house.
Well, and the home that he was talking about was the home back in France. So I'm guessing that he's probably since he's been brought over here, he probably is now in the actual like regular house.
I don't think that's what he was bringing up. I think that he was saying that he, of course, lived in the France estate at that point, but before. But the idea that when he came over here, that he mentioned like a second smaller estate. It wasn't necessarily the French one.
I was pretty sure that was the French one. But
you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, I believe you. I just yeah. I wonder which house is bigger, my house of France. I don't know. I've never seen the main estate. The second estate is much smaller. So maybe it was the maybe it was right, because he's been here for a while.
Right, yeah. So that makes sense.
Yeah. I was just getting the idea that this is how freaking big the So family is compared to the Otori one, where it's like, oh, they just casually have multiple estates bigger than them.
And I'm not necessarily important enough to be at the actual regular estate.
Right. Yeah.
I have the home that's for the bastard, right?
Yeah,
like
basically.
Okay.
Yeah. It's almost to the point where I feel like the Otori family is considering him a rival because of their family being just so big that they must be. And that's the ambition of the style of the Otori family, is that they're grabbing a whole bunch of stuff constantly.
Right. That's how they got to the size that they are, yeah.
Right. But but Tamaki's family is still dwarfing them in terms of like wealth and influence and power. So
he really could be the golden egg potentially.
He really could be
for taking over the Otori family. Yeah.
Right. And it's that level that makes Kyouya's frustrations with him even more when Kyouya is still locked in his thinking that why aren't you more like me and trying to but wait, actually you're not actually doing that stuff, Kyouya.
Oh man. Yeah.
So love the reveal of Kyouya's character. Love the side reveal that Tamaki is the type of person that would gather a massive following at the school effortlessly.
Of course.
Not just because of his suave, flirty kind of nature, but because there is an emotional intelligence and depth to him that allows him to intuit who people are in a way that is, it's genius almost.
Oh, absolutely.
It's incredible.
Yep, he is an absolute idiot in most areas, but when it comes to understanding people, that is not one of them.
No,
when it comes to understanding himself, that's that's all out the window.
Sure.
But
he's still a bit self-obsessed and his own idiot tendencies. But it is the fool that is not intentionally trying to put on foolish energy to make himself appear more or less likable. But there is very much there is a complexity underneath the pouting child that wants to get what it wants, if you will.
Yes.
That is too intentional to be understated, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I feel like Tamaki has figured out some kind of a way to survive the maybe the ire or the eyes of his like the adults in his in his new family here. That this is something that I'm basically just trying to see what are the seeds they're setting up for the Tamaki episode.
Yeah.
Like what is the like.
What I'm guessing, given the fact that his grandma doesn't like him and he's he's the bastard of the family, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that one of the reasons that he's so good at reading people's emotions is that he has to, right? He has to be really good at that. He has to know how to please them so that way, because his survival almost depends on it. We don't know what the situation is with his mom. She's not, she's not talked about, right?
But no, she's probably not ever someone that he's met. Even.
Oh, sure.
Like that's the kind of thing that I would assume is that way. If their family is as powerful as like they describe here, he just knows that she exists.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
he probably is so controlled because he's a young man and he's not, independent yet, that it's like, oh no, you'll never meet her.
Right,
You're my son now.
But what it basically means is that he's his dad's son, but at the same time he's kind of not, because the family is not on his side. So his survival potentially depends on the idea of being able to make sure that these people like him, or at least they like him enough, because they're not predisposed to like him at all, that they like him enough that they keep him around.
Yeah. I love so much the moment where the red hits the painting, and then he's like, "Oh well, I was just wondering if you."
I was
got
just
the
thinking about the
Kotatsu ready."
Kotatsu, yeah.
And just seeing Kyouya laugh like this in a way that we've never seen him laugh before, just gives me such joy, because there are a lot of characters in this story that are kind of emotionally stunted.
Oh, absolutely.
Like that's kind of the thing about all of them, is that they're all kind of broken somewhere emotionally, which is good character, just simple good character
right
writing.
It's not interesting to hear about characters that have everything perfectly figured out. Yeah,
right. But the idea that laugh like almost escaped him.
Yes,
I'm really, really, really wanting to hear it now in the dub.
There was a part about it that when he was laughing, I wasn't entirely sure if the emotion behind it was going to change during the laugh, because there was a part of it that felt pained to me, where it was like was like the final acknowledgement of this laugh that he had been wishing he could have let loose for a very long time.
Yeah.
For a very long time. And as a result of that, it's not purely perfectly happy.
No,
right?
No, definitely not.
But
yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, it escaped him.
Right.
It was almost like in a loss of control.
It broke free with some scratches.
Just like the weeping, uncontrollably. It just escaped out.
Yep.
And in that moment, the only difference is that he's not trying to subdue it right now. Whereas with the crying, he was trying to be like, no, what?
I'm very much getting the image of like a bramble, like a bunch of brambles or something, and then if the laugh was was Kyouya or something, he just basically ran right through it. And it's wonderful and incredible to be on the other side, and yet there was maybe a good amount of pain that it took to get there.
Sure, yeah,
but
wow, okay. I want to see how they follow up this episode.
Yeah.
Because in some ways, they can't really follow it up directly. Because if you were going to have some kind of Haruhi, Kyouya bit at the, post backstory kind of dump bit, you would have done it in this episode.
Right. It very much
means this wasn't shared to Haruhi.
Nope. It felt very much like this was for the audience, and it was this doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the direct plot of the present. It's just here's an excuse to then go into Kyouya's backstory.
I'm really happy for it because it sets up some really good stuff potentially with Tamaki as well.
Yes.
Y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if anything that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.